Hello everyone. So in today's video we're going to have a baking day. Oven's preheated. I love baking, so I figured we'd do a baking video. I'm going to make chocolate cookie dough cupcakes, and I'm going to make blueberry lemon loaf, and I'm also going to make, what was the third one? Oh, strawberry cream cheese shortbread cookies. Okay, so we're going to start with the flour. I am just going to put everything in the bowl all at once, and we're going to mix it all at once. I like to make my loaf recipes like that. So we're starting with the blueberry lemon loaf, if I didn't mention that. So we need 1.5 cups of flour. Like that. We need a teaspoon of baking powder. Get my measuring spoon here. One teaspoon. We need about 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Like that. We need about 1/3 cup of sugar. 1/3 cup. Then we need some milk. We're going to do about 1/2 cup of milk. Cup. About there. We're just mixing it all in at the same time. It's one of those easier recipes. So this calls for 1/3 of vegetable oil. I'm going to use olive oil. I usually do use olive oil in my baking recipes. Okay, and I need about 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Eyeball that. We need about the juice of 1 lemon. So I'm going to, let me show you here. We got stuff prepared for all of our recipes here. So I roll the lemon on the counter like this to get the juices going. Bring out the juices in the lemon before I cut it open. Nice and juicy already. Then we're going to juice 1 lemon into the mix. I bought a new lemon squeezer. This one works way better. Okay, and we need 1 egg. Let's get my eggs here. Okay, let's put that over there. Okay, let me just look at my recipe here. Milk, oil, vanilla. Okay, so now we're just going to mix this up, and then we're going to add the blueberries separate. Okay, I'm just going to pull the flour away from the sides here so it all mixes thoroughly. Make sure it's getting on the bottom. Okay, so I do think this is mixed enough to put the blueberries in. For the blueberries, I froze some of the leftover ones from the Mother's Day dessert. So we need about a cup to a cup and a half. So I'm going to put those in there. And then I'm going to take a little bit of flour, just a little, and we're going to mix it into the blueberries. This will help when we put it into the loaf. All the berries won't sink to the bottom. It'll help it stay into the mixture so that it's throughout the entire bread rather than only on the bottom. So now we can add this to our mixture. I'm just going to take the attachment off. Take the bowl out here. And then I'm going to just mix these in with the spatula. You can do it with the mixer, but it's not necessary. I figured we would start with the blueberry lemon loaf because it takes the longest to cook. So it should look like that. And then we're going to put it into a loaf pan. So I like to use cooking spray for my baking, and it's just so much easier to spray the pans. So that should be every inch like that. Okay. Now we're just going to fill it with the mixture. The texture is quite a bit thicker than I'm used to for a loaf, but I'm used to my banana bread recipe, which is a little bit more liquidy than this. But I think this will cook perfectly fine. Okay, just like that. And we cook this for an hour in the oven at 350 degrees. And then there's a glaze that goes on top of this afterwards. So let's put this in the oven. The oven's already preheated. So for the glaze that goes on top of the blueberry lemon loaf, we're just going to prep that. So we need some lemon juice. So we're going to do another lemon here. So I'm going to do it in this bowl because we only need a few tablespoons. Okay. Okay, so we need about half a cup of icing sugar. Ooh, everywhere. Just let me get a measuring spoon here. Oh, I already had one in here. It's just buried. Okay, so this is a quarter of a cup, so we're going to put 2 of these in. Okay. We'll need this later for the cookie dough. We'll need the icing sugar, I'm talking. And then for the lemon juice, we need 2 tablespoons. And it goes right into the icing sugar. This is going to be a runnier glaze, so it shouldn't look like icing. And that is the only 2 ingredients that go in this glaze. The lemon juice should balance out the icing sugar. I'm just going to add a tiny bit more lemon juice here. There we go, that's better. And this is what it should look like. And this will go on top of the blueberry lemon loaf. So we're just going to set this aside and we will continue with the next recipe. Now we're going to get started on the chocolate cupcake batter for the cookie dough cupcakes. I do not have buttermilk, so I'm going to make buttermilk. So I need about a half a cup of buttermilk. So we're going to put half a cup of milk. So about there. And literally all you need to do to make buttermilk is add some vinegar to it. Let it sit for a couple minutes. About a teaspoon to a tablespoon. Give it a little mix. And just let that sit aside for a second while we're putting the rest of the ingredients together. Okay, so to start, I'm going to put all of the dry ingredients in the bowl first. So let's measure those first. So I need 1 cup of flour. And I need some cocoa powder. Just 1 sec, I gotta get that. I got my cocoa powder here. So we need 2/3 of a cup. So this is a 1/3 of a cup measure. So we're gonna need 2 of these. We're gonna sift this. Cocoa powder is notorious for lumps. You need to sift it. Otherwise you'll have lumpy cupcakes. Okay. We're just gonna sift that with the flour. I go like this to break up some of the lumps, just to get all the cocoa powder. I usually use the back of a spoon. There we go. Now we can put the baking powder in. We need 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. And a half. And we need some salt. We need about 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Like that. About 1 cup of granulated sugar. This is a 1/2 cup measure. We're going to do 2 of these. And then we have brown sugar that we need to put in. So for brown sugar, we need 1/2 cup. This is a 1/2 cup measure, so we can use this. Just take out my little guys here. They keep my brown sugar nice and moist. Make sure you pack it in. Put these guys back in. Okay, and let me see if there's any more dry ingredients. Baking soda. So it says we need 3/4 teaspoon of baking soda. Three-quarters of a teaspoon. Okay, so we're just going to mix this up a little bit so that when we add it all together into the recipe, it's all mixed nicely. Okay, and now we can start on the wet ingredients. So to start with the wet ingredients, this is our buttermilk that we made. It looks almost curdled. That's normal. So we're going to put that in. Then we need 1/4 cup of sour cream. So I'm going to eyeball this a little bit. About there. That should be good. A little bit. There we go. Okay. Now we need to add 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Like that. We need to add some vegetable oil. We're going to add olive oil. How much did I say? Let me look here. Half a cup. So this is a quarter, so we're going to do 2 of these. Okay. And then we need some eggs. Buttermilk, sour cream, vanilla. I'm just making sure I have all the ingredients in here. Yes. So all that's left is 3 eggs. Okay. And now we can mix it. I'm going to start mixing it up. I'm going to start with mixing the wet. And we're just going to slowly add the dry to the wet. Okay, I'm just going to scrape the edges with a spatula. Make sure it's off the bottom. And then just mix it again. You don't want to over mix cupcakes or cake batter. So that should be good. And now we can scoop it into the containers. Okay, so I'm just going to put some cupcake liners in my pans here. If I can get them apart. Okay, we have those filled. Now I'm just going to lightly spray them with spray. This is a recent trick that I've learned. It helps it not stick to the muffin paper, which is a common problem. So we're just going to give it a little shot like this, not too much. That should be good. So I like to use a scoop. We're just going to fill all the tins. This is one of my children's favorite recipes is cookie dough icing. They also like peanut butter icing. This recipe is supposed to make 24 cupcakes. We'll see if that's how much it makes here. It looks like it's going to. I probably filled a few of them too full, but that's okay. So we're just going to take these ones out. And then as soon as the loaf is done baking, we're going to bake these. Now we're going to start on the strawberry cream cheese shortbread cookies. So let's start with the mixture here. I've got my recipe here. So we need some butter. We're going to start with the butter. We need 1 cup. So that is roughly half of one of these pounds. Shortbread does have a lot of butter, just so you know. Out there. Okay, and then we need some powdered sugar. We're going to do about 1/3 of a cup. And we need about 1/3 of a cup of granulated sugar as well. So get some of that. Like that. We need about a teaspoon of vanilla. Just want a little bit extra flavor. This also calls for almond extract, 1 teaspoon. I don't really like almond extract, so I'm going to exclude that. But if you like it, add it. 2 1/4 cups of flour. I think I'm going to add 1 for now, and then I'm going to start mixing the butter so the flour doesn't go everywhere. Might anyways. Okay, 1 more. And 1/4. We need to add some salt, about 1/4 of a teaspoon. Okay, and then we just mix everything together, and this is the dough. Okay, I just want to look at the texture here. We might need to add a little bit of water or something to this. I'm just going to add a tiny, tiny bit. Just 1 sec here. Very little amount of water because we just want it to come together nicely. That's it. The butter is usually what makes this recipe come together. There, that's what we want. We want it to look like that. Okay, so now we're going to take a pan and we do not need to spray this because there's a lot of butter in this mixture. And we're just going to put some in the bottom of each one of these little, this is actually a muffin tray, so I'm going to use this. We'll just have rectangle shaped cookies. I actually made this recipe in raspberry form for my Christmas baking boxes that I do every year. Everybody loved them. It was a big hit. Okay, so now when you do this, you need a little bit more in this one. Now you just push them down like this, really nice and firm onto the bottom, like that. I'm making a huge mess here. This is the base of the cookie, so make sure it's nice and firmly pressed, okay? You don't want the cookie to fall apart later, but this cookie turns out fabulously every time I've made it. It looks really crumbly, but it actually presses together really nicely. Okay, now I have them all pressed. And there is a little bit of mixture left over, the crumble. This goes on top, so do not get rid of this. Always make sure there's a little bit left. So now we're going to take some cream cheese. I'll open it here. Okay. So let me mix this up a little bit, make it a little bit more soft. Okay, so just put like a spoonful in each cookie. Like this. I'm probably putting a little too much in. Maybe make it a little less here. And then once we're done this, we're going to spread them out as much as we can without lifting up the mixture on the bottom. So let's see here. Maybe just go like this. Spread it out a bit like that. Just so it's not one big lump. This will melt down a bit in the oven. If you can manage to spread these out a little bit more, that would be perfect. Just as much as you can. It's just so you get some of the cream cheese on most of the cookie. I am going to wash my hands and then I will show you the next step. Okay, I think the loaf is done, so I'm going to check it here. Wait one sec. It looks done. Let me check it. Get a toothpick and check that. Okay, so to check it, just push it right into the middle and pull it out. And see, it's clean. That means it's cooked. So now we're going to move on to the filling for the other cookies. Okay, now for the filling, I'm going to take some homemade strawberry jam. You can use whatever flavor you want. I'm just going to use strawberry. Last time I made these, I used raspberry. So now I'm just going to put some in, spread it over the cream cheese a bit. Just spreading it out a little bit. Make sure you use a decent amount so it's quite flavorful when you bite into the cookie, so it's not dry. Okay, and once you get them all filled, just kind of spread it out a little bit. And then you take the rest of the mixture and you just crumble it on top like this. Like that. And then we're going to put them in the oven. I just spread these out a little bit more with a spoon. Just making sure I use all the topping here. Okay, and then now we're going to put these in the oven. So earlier I put these in the oven and I baked them at 350 for about 20 minutes. They're really done. They didn't quite puff up in the middle, but that's okay. The icing will make it look beautiful. And we're going to bake them at 350 for about 18 to 20 minutes. The timer went off. Let's look at those. They look okay. Let me take one out and look. Okay, so they're all nice and hard right here. So I think they're cooked perfectly. So now we're going to get ready and start making some of the cookie dough icing. 1 cup of butter. We'll use the other half of the one we used earlier. We need about 2/3 of a cup of flour. I know, flour in icing, it sounds weird, right? Then we need 1/2 cup of brown sugar. This is a 1/2 cup measure. This is what gives it the cookie dough flavor. Okay. I'm going to mix this up a little bit. While that's mixing, I'm going to get 2 cups of powdered sugar. This is a 1/2 cup measure, so we'll need 4 of these. Okay, let me get a spatula just so I can break some of this up. Okay, let's add in 2 cups of icing sugar. Four. We need about half a teaspoon of salt. We need 1 teaspoon of vanilla. I'm going to put 2 just because of I like the extra flavor. We don't want to add too much extra though because the icing will get too liquidy. Some heavy cream. It says 2 tablespoons. And we're going to mix this. Try not to get it everywhere. Okay, it's starting to form here. Okay, it's a little bit thick, so I'm going to add a little bit more cream. Not too much. Okay, I got it all off, so now I'm just going to whip this so it's really nice and creamy. Okay, so this is nice and whipped now. Really nice and creamy. That's the texture we want. I'm just going to scrape it off the sides here, and then we're going to add some chocolate chips to the cookie dough here. Cookie dough icing. Okay, so I'm going to use mini chocolate chips. I like to use mini chocolate chips because it's easier to get through my piping bag. That, and it's nicer to bite into when you eat these cupcakes. Okay, let's see how much that looks like. I'm just going to put the whole bag in. Okay. So I'm just going to take this out, and then we're going to fill a piping bag and we can ice in the cupcakes. So now I'm just going to fill my piping bag. I'm not going to put a tip in the end of it because I think that's big enough hole right there for the cupcakes. Normally I would put a tip in though. Oh, getting icing everywhere. Try and get it all in here. Oh. Okay. So now I'm just going to push this all down and then we'll get ready to ice in the cupcakes. So we have our icing all in the bag. So now I'm just going to do nice round design here. Just like that. You can do whatever design you want. I find a circle design is best with these cupcakes just because of the chocolate chips. There we go. Those are done. Now we can take the blueberry loaf. Let me just get a plate here. Okay, so we're going to put the blueberry loaf, still nice and warm, on top. And we're going to drizzle our glaze that we made earlier. Just mix it up a little bit. And just randomly drizzle it on top. If you don't want the glaze, you don't have to have it. Purely preference. That's 2 of our recipes done. Now I'll go get the cookies and show you what those look like. Now I'm going to take the cookies out of the pans here. Hopefully they're cool enough. Hopefully they don't break. Normally I make these in a cupcake tin, so we'll see. I'm not sure if these are going to come out. Oh, there we go. Got it. I'll just take the rest out and then I'll show you what that looks like. And there's the finished product. So we have this, we have our cookie dough chocolate cupcakes, and we have our blueberry lemon loaf. I really hope that you enjoyed baking with me today, and this is where I'm going to end the video, and I'll see you next time.